Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Hello, and welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I am Lisa Fernandes, and
I am Christopher Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're here for the third episode of the first season of Laverne and Shirley. This is Bowling for Razzberries. Now, guess who directed this episode?
Are they known for their work in the theater?
Not quite.
Are they in Europe? Do they need an adapter?
It's Alan Meyerson, believe it or not. You have to know who Alan Meyerson is.
I'm a little red in the face now. I don't know Alan Meyer. I'm googling.
He directed the Sylvia Christel vehicle Private Lessons, that famous 80s cable, what basically became an 80s cable staple. He also directed Police Academy 5.
Okay, yeah, okay, sorry, yeah. Oh dear, I think I might have seen Private Lessons during a certain period of my yes. Moving on.
Everybody's seen that movie. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, and he also had a role. He had a role in Billy Jack.
I just saw that. Oh my gosh.
Very minor role in Billy Jack.
So okay, so
I thought that was really.
So for those at home that are kind of more of the contemporary era, that means that while researching for his role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt saw the director of this episode. So we've somehow tied this to a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Wow. Everybody keep your shoes on. Everybody keep your shoes on.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
It's also written by Marty Nadler. And here's the plot. Laverne's longtime rival with Karen Klopp, a woman who runs the brewery's tours and runs them through the lunchroom just so she can mock Laverne to her face, finally reaches a fever pitch as the big company bowling tournament nears. Laverne and Shirley train a squad of fellow co-workers to beat Karen's team, but during the process of said training, Laverne comes down with a bad cold, endangering their chances horribly. With Shirley trying to keep Laverne inside, and Laverne determined to escape to bully Ultimate Razzberry in Karen's face, the end result is total anarchy and shenanigans. What do you think of this episode?
This was a good, funny, goofy time. It's a very, it definitely was the inspiration, I feel, for a lot of television that came after. It was inspired by television that came before. So it's this kind of this wonderful staple of the, somebody has a beef with somebody, they need to get back at them, and they have this obstacle, often like a flu or something they have to get around, and they decide, all right, I'm going to compromise, we're going to do both kind of setup. And that's super common. And yet this was a very, it's a lot of fun. There's some great dialogue in this. There's some wonderful little moments. The bowling montage is good. And yeah, this is definitely where you get to see its influences again of the screwball comedy coming forward. This time a little more physically. I think definitely.
To me, this is like a very solid. This is a very solid episode. It's one of the very first physical comedy episodes of the series. It's the first one that centers around doing goofy physical comedy, but tying it back in with emotions and feelings and an actual strong central comedic core. So this is basically what the show will become as it goes on and on and on and on over the seasons. And this is the very germination of what Laverne and Shirley will become as time goes on. So Karen is kind of an Laverne enemy. Somewhere around season 2 up through roughly season 4, she gets a regular rival named Rosie Greenbaum, who is amazing and hilarious. And they really should have imported her somehow into the California years because she is just perfect in her role. But Karen is the very first kind of snob on a regular that Laverne has an actual solid rivalry with. So what did you think of that conflict?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it's the, what I love is Karen's the one that actually gets a rise out of Laverne. Laverne can, get a little steamy, but she doesn't beginning of this episode, essentially, like Laverne is ready to like tear this woman apart. It's a she has to be held back. It's like let me at him. So I love how they establish right away that not only is there history, but this is somebody that just the whole demeanor and you get to hear that dialogue. I mean, what is it? And here is where the unskilled labor eats. I mean, it's a. So I'm paraphrasing, but it's a.
That's what she says.
Yeah, it's there's a tenacious villainry involved in there because to be that type of snob, you really got to commit, and that's something kind of delicious. And so yeah, I really like the Karen character, and in that respect. Although as well, like Laverne, I also was, like wanting to pull my hair out, like, oh my God, let me just shout at her and scream in her face because she's horrible. And to be honest, a blowing the perfect raspberry, it's good. But I think, to be honest, the perfect raspberry is deserved for something else, because I think this person is so cruel in their rudeness that they deserve something perhaps a little more befitting. Raspberries are cute. To me, raspberries are cute. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, that ultimately is how they get back a lot at the people who try to wrong them in a way. There's variations on this, like as we go into the future, and they face more and more obstacles from more and more people who try to drag them down. But this is like the core and the center and the beginning of that kind of feeling, so to speak, in the show. So that's how they handle their rivals. Good old-fashioned raspberry and the kick in the pants. So yeah. So this is probably the very beginning of Shirley really mother-henning Laverne. She really hardcore mother-hens her in this episode. She's trying to make sure she's getting medicine, trying to make sure she's okay, trying to make sure her fever's breaking. And so what do you think of that dynamic?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. It's as someone who can be a little mother henny myself, as you've seen. I think we through our friendship, we've sort of, like, as we've gone through our turmoils in our lives, we've kind of swapped that role here and there. But yeah, it's a really sweet. I think what I love is that it's a sweet dynamic because of how much Shirley cares, and it's done in a way that it's like. I like that the show very much sides with Shirley about it, so that even though you wish that Laverne could go out to the do the bowling tournament and be able to not be sick and whoop Karen's butt and blow the raspberry and all that, that's just not the way the world works. But that if you were in that situation, at least I'd like to think most of us would be on Shirley's side and say, not like say, when Carmine makes his appearance and pretty much is like, yeah, look, she's fine. She doesn't look sick to me, because he's got $25 on the game. So,
yeah. All the guys here are acting out of selfishness in a way. Even when Lenny and Squiggy come off as more altruistic than you, it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And not a good look.
You're mostly seeing that they're in it because they want to see them win for that reason.
Right. Which actually, I mean, that's the thing also about the mother henning aspect, I think, is also interesting because it felt like it was Shirley's way of balancing the power dynamic, given that this is also that point where we really get to be introduced to how Shirley can't take criticism. When Laverne is saying, gives all the feedback to the rest of the bowling team, and Shirley's like, well, you didn't say anything about me, so I guess I've gotten that much better. And Laverne's like, no, not really. It's just that you can't take criticism. And then as soon as she does, as soon as she says honestly what she's doing about this, like the steps, it's like you take 9 steps to the thing. You're taking too many steps before you throw the ball or roll the ball and all that. And immediately Shirley just gets so mad. It's like, I quit. And this is ready to storm out of the room. And so what's interesting is that then that power dynamic gets reversed as soon as Laverne gets sick, and then Shirley has to start taking care of her. And it's because it's interesting. Yes, it is definitely the altruistic. You're making me mad, but I, you're my best friend. I love you and I care about you. But as well, it's I'm now back. I'm able to be in control of the situation.
I mean, it's not for selfish reasons. It's because Shirley wants her not to die. She wants her not to get pneumonia. She's like, you're not going to die that way. I'm going to make sure you don't. Laverne, of course, is in full rebellion. Mm-hmm. And she'll do anything to get out. even if her cold pills make her completely insensible.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, I love that.
And that's exactly what happened.
Right.
That's what happened.
Yep. Yeah, the physicality and of those aspects, Penny did an amazing job with that physical performance for that, just the expression of it. And have you ever experienced like pneumonia symptoms yourself?
A long time ago, after when I had flu, I think at one point.
Yeah.
Well, I was very young, but yeah, not recently. Thankfully, knock wood.
I think it's getting close to 15 years for me since I last had it. I may have had like a minor case of it that I just don't remember from like that, because the last time I had it was notable. Again, a long story for another time, but yeah, it sucks. And Penny captured it. Penny captured that, like, you're on the cusp of something really horrible and like everything is going wrong, and yet like you still have that little bit of energy. Like, let me put it this way. The last time I remember having pneumonia, I was working on my first live action movie with my friends. So like I was shooting, even though I was like coughing and like I was like, kind of dying.
Oh, God.
So it's like that's what I love about her determination to do the thing and she's rebelling even against the virus or the bacteria that is afflicting her,
killing it, just stomping on the virus, stomping on the bacteria, just marching towards that thing. Well, she knows the team's awful and they can't take revenge for her.
Oh yeah.
And you think almost that the show is gonna like do a big reversal and Shirley's gonna suddenly become a better bowler and take care of it for her, but no, she's gonna do it herself and do it post haste and do it almost completely drunk out of her mind on the medicine, sitting in the chair, having to literally be tilted forward, but she's gonna do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing about this episode. She gets to earn her victory despite the odds, rather than there being some twist or turn that has to like, I guess what it is that it shows that she takes a risk and is rewarded. I guess what it is she takes the risk and she succeeds.
She's rewarded with her success, basically. She's rewarded with Karen knowing that in spite of all of her practice and all of her belief that she's better than Laverne, she ain't. And that's her ultimate revenge,
Mm-hmm.
That her ultimate revenge is to completely overcome the nonsense and reclaim all of that in a single perfect victory. And that sometimes is worth all the hassle.
Yep. As well, is this the first episode we get to see the bowling alley?
This is the first time we actually physically go into the alley. We hear the alley talked about in Bachelor Party.
Right.
We don't actually go into the alley, and this is the first time that they actually had to build a set for it. So this is the first time we see them bowling. That happens a few more times. It's less of a central plot, but we do go into the alleys a few more times. There's season 2 publicity photos of the girls pretending to bowl. They're gang there. Those are really great. I'll show them to you. We might link them. They're all on Getty, but they're hilarious because they're fake bowling in a fake alley.
Fake bowling in a fake alley there is nothing more 1970s show about the 1950s than that, in my opinion.
Makes you think about Grease 2, doesn't it?
I'm curious how you're going to react to knowing I've never seen Grease or Grease 2.
Well, I don't like Grease. I like the music in Grease. But gasp, not seeing Grease 2. Gasp, gasp, gasp.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to see it just for the camp value alone. Camp value alone. Have you seen Can't Stop the Music?
Say again?
Can't Stop the Music.
I have not. It's just musicals are weird. It's long story short is my mom likes musicals. My dad actually does kind of like quite a few musicals, but I just never really grew up on them, and so just because of that, there was a lot of musicals. I've never seen Sound of Music, believe it or not. Oh. I've seen like maybe
give it a while. It'll be all over the place around Easter or something. But back to subject.
Right, back on track.
So yes. So ultimately, what this is about is teamwork in the end. In the end, it's about the girls teaming up. The Carmine helps. Even the boys help a little bit. Just to knock Karen off her pedestal. This is the first example we really get of everybody teaming up for a single common goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's weird that they're doing it because they all have their different stakes in the game, but they are doing it still for the common goal of we must defeat this other team, which is, yeah, it feels very much in the vein of like a lot of those like some of the sports movie comedies where the ragtag group has their own reasons, but the goal is still the conclusion is the same, despite the payout that each character is going to get.
Yeah, that is probably one of the first of it. There are some great episodes later on where everybody has a common goal. Honeymoon Hotel is probably the best example of this, where everybody just teams up for just one single common good reason, and they just beat the man at their own game, so to speak. And it's really fabulous. It's really fabulous. So that's coming. So we got a little bit more Lenny and Squiggy in this episode. So what did you think of that little scene they got? A couple little scenes they got.
It's good stuff. I mean, my memory is getting a little hazy because I've been trying to read. It's been a long process to get prepped for all these episodes and getting all our tech all set aside. What I also did like is Lenny and Squig, like when they get to the point I felt like at this episode, it started to feel like there was a niche. Like I didn't have to feel like I was having to reorient or be reintroduced to some elements of them. Like it was starting to feel like everything was starting to kind of click a little better. Like you start to feel like their presence in their world is a little more refined. Because you were talking about in the introduction about the series' history. It's getting to the place where they figured out how to sanitize the characters and be clean and still be funny and still be themselves. I feel like this episode and a couple of the other ones that are coming up, you really get to feel that more.
Yeah, because they are definitely like themselves, but they're also, just PG enough to squeak by. Right. Just PG enough to squeak by. I mean, Lenny makes a dirty comment about some girl's body and gets a bowling ball jammed on his hand. Right. So,
yes,
that's a big thing. Laverne pulls it off. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and I gotta say that the timing in pretty much every part of that bit was amazing. It's one of those things that just like it's like the background action where you see like they're putting the olive oil and you see the woman on the other side of the table, she's grabbing her beer like, oh god, the olive oil's going all over the place.
And then he's trying to look inconspicuous with the girls looking at him. Right. With the bowling ball in his hand.
Yeah, and also I think what I like about and the I just remember now. The other thing I love is how Squiggy makes the comment of like, what is it? If this doesn't work, we'll handcuff your hand to the back of the car and drag you around for half an hour. And it's said so casually, it makes you think, how many scrapes have these two been in that actually sounds kind of logical to them? Like it's a logical, like, all right, we'll just do this conclusion.
Pretty much the perfect solution to any them-related logic puzzle. When you get up around season 4 and consider how he treats Lenny physically, you go, oh yeah, that retroactively makes sense as we get deeper in canon. Retroactively, it makes more and more sense. Which is like, it's just that it's very much a them being them kind of situation. That is probably where they really do start to feel even more like themselves, even more like they belong there, as you said. But even more, they had a sort of a rowdier characterization earlier, even like louder. They start to calm down more in season 2. Lenny gets way softened down by roughly, I'd say, maybe, I guess it really just happened during Look For Your Leap, but they aren't the same guys they were in Bachelor Party, and they aren't the same guys that they were in the pilots. The Noticeable. It's an interesting evolution, and it becomes even more of an evolution as time goes on. Yeah. So this is the first episode where Lauren gets a temporary doctor love interest for a single episode. We don't see this guy again, but she does flirt with the doctor who's prescribed her medicine.
Right.
So what do you think about this little tiny little sliver of romantic encounter here?
It's it's the weirdest thing. I am a diehard romantic in my personal life, and yet it's these kind of things like they don't always land. This one landed okay. Because it was cute, but it again, it kind of it teeters very close again to that kind of embarrassment humor. So it's kind of like it's it's the proto cringe comedy that we have today. But it's but it is. I will say though, it is cute, and I guess what I liked is that it was shown. It was shown to be understandable, and you're still kind of rooting for Laverne anyway. Like it's like that the circumstances are against her, but it's like come on, she's having a rough time. Karen was mean. She needs throw her a bone, not that bone.
I'm very picky when it comes to the girls' love interests. I'm very picky.
Yes, I'm well aware. Well aware.
Yeah, everybody. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'll have an opinion. We'll get there. But he works as a one and done. Pretty soon we're gonna get to the era where she's dating a nice police officer named Norman Hughes. I know nice police officer is kind of an anachronism, so to speak. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, that a nice police officer is anachronistic in today's time period. Is that what you're?
Yeah. Closer. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. No, but it's
He's probably my favorite of her minor recurring boyfriends. She does have like 3 or so minor recurring boyfriends, but I'm focused elsewhere. Anyway.
Yep.
Okay. So, where would you rank this one?
I'd give this a solid 7.5. I'd say maybe an 8 if I give it her really sat down again, I should say, and give it a nice solid view, because the second time through it I was doing other stuff, so I'm busy. This is one of many side projects that I do. Please don't judge me. Please don't hate me.
More attention, more.
Okay. Oh God, I'm gonna be like Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange by the time we get to the recording this next episode of this podcast.
No, that'll happen season 8.
Oh,
season 8's coming.
That doesn't put me at ease, Lisa. Why do you do these things to me? Oh, no, it's okay. Don't stop. I love you.
Pickles. Nuns that communicate with pickles. Anyway.
Oh God.
I'm just gonna get close to the microphone whenever I have to repeat that. Nuns and pickles. That's all I'm gonna say. For me, this is roughly a 7.2. Great physical comedy. First physical comedy-centered episode, so it's very important. Really nice writing. Good use of all of the characters across the board. Girls' friendship, which is always important. Good slobs versus snobs, basic storyline. And it just works overall. It just really works overall, but it's not my absolute favorite episode. It's really necessary and vital to season 1. Watch it. If you got a choice between watching a few episodes, watch it. It's vital to this series' history, and it's worth your money, and it's worth your time.
Yeah, it's a good time. And it's when you look at the whole season of the show, it just this episode, it really ties the room together. I kind of stole your joke. We were talking about that earlier.
Sip your white Russian very slowly.
Yeah, but it's a good time, and I did really enjoy. I just wanted to also say the one thing I also really enjoyed was the little details in the montage, like the way that there's one where Karen rolls the ball, and it just slides straight down Main Street and misses the spare by a mile, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She just, all this concentration is it's like, did you think to twist, Karen? Did you think to twist a little bit?
No, she's too arrogant to do that. That's what the show establishes. We gotta go with what the show establishes.
Oh boy.
For me, I want to know where that bowling footage came from. I don't know if they just went out and filmed B-roll or if it was just stock footage. I think it was just stock footage.
The footage quality seemed to match the rest of the show pretty decently. I mean, obviously it was shot with a different camera, but it was it matches pretty good. So yeah, I'm curious. I'd have to look back at it again shot by shot to see if you can tell if the film grade changes, to see if it is, because if it's stock, they probably would have used it from a couple of different sources. Which
they did a pretty good they did a pretty good job of restoring the episodes.
Yeah.
From grade the general quality that they were in before they were put on DVD. That isn't not quite followed through with the rest of the season releases, sadly. But but it's not bad in season 1. Season 1 is very good.
Okay.
It's about as good as you're going to get, especially for a sitcom, and especially for a sitcom from the 70s that was using that specific grade of film.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's exactly. A lot of these shows they don't keep I mean, like, it's so sad when you watch Michael Mann's Crime Story, which was shot gorgeously. The lighting in that is so good, and like the film, like I think the most restored version I've seen, it's still pretty trashed. Like, you can tell they didn't do the greatest transfer.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But CBS there are people who've been complaining about what CBS has chosen to do with some of their sitcom releases because of the music substitutions, because of the packaging of the DVDs, and once again, lack of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on CBS, put it on the app, please. We're begging here. Let us legally stream this stuff, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
We want to give you money.
You don't realize that the whole Star Trek thing, getting Picard on there, nobody cares. Nobody cares about Picard. Everybody
cares about Picard.
I am of course joking. Picard is kind of my preferred captain. So again, another topic for another time.
We'll return to it. We will engage.
Yes.
Engage.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Excellent. Well done. Well done.
Back. Anyway.
So, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other things for this episode. I mean, I think it definitely is when you think of this like, oh, episodes of a TV show, this is very much an episode of a TV show. It's a good episode. It's there's good points. The comedy lands, the writing's good. There's some cute little extra stuff in there for the fans. And I don't know if there's much more else to say.
It's actually, I think, ranked within the top 200 episodes of sitcoms for TV Guide. I think The Diner, which comes in season 5, ends up somewhere in the top 15 of that ranking. But I think that they listed this as one of the most important or most funniest of all sitcom episodes that were released up to that time, which I think was somewhere in the late zeros, I think. Which I think is interesting. When you look at the body of the show's humor, and you rank what the absolute funniest episode is, I would say their picks are pretty accurate. It matches the IMDb rankings. The IMDb rankings, I find, are pretty fairly accurate as to what the show is, which episodes of the show are good when it comes to what's worth watching, what's not worth watching. That's rare when it comes to shows and IMDb.
Right.
But I will say, because their top 3 right now on there is Diner, Lenny's Crush, and I think Murder on Moose Jaw Express, all of which are really good episodes. That's the current top 3 on IMDb. But this was one of TV Guide's best episodes. I think it was. I will double check. We'll come back and make sure that I'm accurate on that one. But I'm pretty sure that this is one of the ones that got picked.
And interesting, for all that praise, it barely gets half an hour out of us of discussion and analysis.
I can bring up one thing that I noticed. For some reason, Lenny's last name is spelled Kolowski in the ending credits, and I have no idea why that is. And it happens in 2 episodes this season, and then it's finally corrected to Kozlowski, and I don't know what happened. And every time I see it, I go, "I'm in the Twilight Zone." I still don't know why this exists.
So,
but it's right there.
Having gotten credits wrong on the project that I did for a client, I'm so sorry, Marlena. Thank you for catching that. Sometimes what can happen is that you process the name in your head in a certain way into something that's a little more palatable. So even though it's not correct, like there was this drummer that I had whose name I got wrong. It was because Merrill with 1 R or 2 R's and 1 L made more sense to me than 2 R's and 2 L's, which I think which I believe was the correct way I needed to spell it. So like there's things like that. There was like, was it Justin John, who's a Garcia birthday band? Like it's Justin John, not Justin Johns. Justin Johns made more sense to me. So that's just, I wonder if that's what happened with the Kozlowski and Konowski.
That's just my big question. I don't know if the character started out with that name and it got changed, or if it got screwed up somewhere in the process.
Do you know if the old scripts are around anywhere, like any of the script notes or any of like the pitch documents or anything like that?
There are indeed intact scripts that float around. Sometimes they're on eBay. I know Cindy has a couple of hers, and she brought them to that Laverne and Shirley marathon they had after Penny passed away, to the Gary Marshall Theater, and they were on display. You would have to look at those to see what they say. But they do exist. They're out there somewhere.
So what you're trying to say is we need to take a quest.
Yeah, that's this episode. It's a darn good episode. It's good soup, as Laverne says. It's good soup.
Yeah, it's a good soup. I agree with that assessment. But yeah, cool. Yeah, well, thanks for joining us again, everybody. I think that should be all from us, right?
That's it. It's a nice, concise little review of a nice, concise little episode that kind of explains what the series can do. And so, there you go.
Yeah. So make sure to check us out on social media. We're on the Twitter. We are on the Face of All Books. We are on the Tumblr. And we also have a Patreon as well, and the YouTube and all those sort of things. So, please definitely look for us, Night After Night Pod, and also Night After Night PC on Twitter. Usually Google search should be, hopefully by this point, should be pretty established. So you'll be able to just search for Night After Night Pod, and
information should be attached to this episode.
Yes, that is also correct. So Lisa, do you want to tell the folks at home what we can expect next time?
Next week, this is probably one of my top 5 favorite episodes of the season. We've got a nun story. This is about Laverne and Shirley throwing a high school reunion, and their best friend shows up from those days, and that best friend happens to be a nun now.
Shenanigans are about to ensue.
Shenanigans occur.
Yes.
Shenanigans definitely occur.
There might even be hijinks.
Also shenanigans.
Yes.
Maybe ensuing incidents.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody, and make sure to tune in next time.
Hi, everybody.